Hi, I'm Alice from Tap with Alice, and in this video, I'm going to show you a technique that you can use anytime you feel upset, anxious, fearful, stressed. It's a really simple technique called holding your neurovascular points. So there are neurovascular points all over your body, which act like switches to activate blood flow to the area. So the one that we're going to use today is on the forehead. And if you feel on your forehead, you can feel above the eyebrows on each side, there's a slight bump. And that's the point that we're going to hold. So why might you want to hold this? Well, when we're stressed, usually the blood flows to the back of our brain, to the primitive part of the brain and the center of the brain, where the fight or flight or freeze response is. Because if you need to run, you don't need your thinking brain. The front of your brain is the part that you use for thinking. So you don't need to think. If you need to run, you just need to get out of there. The same if you need to freeze, you just freeze. You need to activate your animal instincts in dangerous situations. But let's face it, most of us are not actually in life-threatening situations when we're feeling stressed in modern day life. So it can be very unhelpful when our thinking brain is switched off and we're not able to think of how to get out of this situation. So in order to bring blood back to the front part of the brain, these are the points that you can hold. So, for example, if you're upset about something, a conversation, and you don't know what to say to get out of it, or you're feeling very angry about something, and your blood's boiling, and all the blood's gone back to the back of your brain because you're just so annoyed about something, and you need to think of what to say, of how to get what you need, then this can be a really helpful technique. Also, if you're anxious or anything like that. So the way it works is, you can do it with me now, is you simply touch that part of your forehead, those two bumps on each side, and you can rest your thumbs on your temples. If you want to, you can rest your elbows on a table, but make sure you're not pressing your head into your hands. It's just a very light touch. And notice if you can feel a pulse underneath your fingers, maybe one side or both sides together. And we're just going to hold this for a minute or 2 minutes until you notice that the pulse in both sides is the same. So after a few minutes, the pulse should get stronger and more steady. And it should be even across both sides. So you'll feel both sides pulsing at the same time and to an even strength. And you can also use this technique retrospectively, for example, in the way that we do in EFT tapping. And if you don't know what EFT tapping is, emotional freedom technique, you can watch one of my other videos about that. So just as in EFT tapping, you need to be specific. So, for example, you could think about that phone call last week that made me upset. So it's not happening now, it was last week. But when you think about it, your brain is responding as if it was now. So if you think about that phone call last week and then do this technique, it's another way to balance your reactions and your emotions about that event. So you may or may not have noticed an effect there. I'm going to stop doing it, but you can carry on doing it for up to about 3 or 4 or 5 minutes. And if you're not noticing anything in any sensation in your fingers, maybe you're not very sensitive, it's probably still working, or you could try just gently adjusting where you're putting your fingers to make sure that you're on the right spot. So I hope that this was helpful. This can be a technique that's very easy to do in public. If you're upset, for example, if you're in a doctor's waiting room, you can sit here like this and people will just think, oh, she's having a bit of a tizzy. You can just sit there and nobody will think it's weird, whereas EFT tapping can look a bit strange. So it can be quite a useful technique to use in public situations, or if you're in your car, obviously not when you're driving, but if you parked your car, you can rest on the steering wheels and just do it there for a minute or two. So thanks so much for watching. You can find me on tapwithalice.com and also on Facebook, Tap with Alice. Bye.